What's up, everyone, and welcome into episode number 507, where it is my honor and privilege to introduce a few special guests joining this episode. And those are Alma baseball players Cade, Sutherland, Ryan, Koob, and Tommy Chess. How are the three of you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty solid,
agree
yeah.
with that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear that. Glad that you guys are able to join. How's life without fall ball now that fall ball is over?
Honestly, it's even though we're not getting together as a team, we're still staying occupied. So a little less stressful, but we're still getting our work in whenever we can.
Yeah, I would say same thing. Just trying to get better by yourself now compared to how it was in fall ball as a team. Just getting work in by yourself, preparing ourselves and our team for that next season next year.
Yeah, I feel like our team's been doing a pretty good job of utilizing the togetherness and team weight room lifts. So yeah, that's doing pretty well.
Is it a little bit more difficult to do it by yourself now that fall ball's over, or is it just because of how close the team is, how you guys have been there for at least a year, each of you? It's a little bit more, maybe easier to do it than people would think.
It kind of depends because baseball's a weird sport with having position players and pitchers. So if I want to go and throw, I'm always going to need to have somebody with me to throw with, especially if I want to work on specific things. But if you if you're a position player, you can kind of go hit by yourself and do other stuff by yourself. So it just kind of depends on your role and in your position. But I mean, it's pretty manageable. We have a lot of guys on the team, so we can find guys to get together at any point of the day.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's always harder to get work in by yourself and choosing to do it. But I think with the group of guys we got here and the chemistry we got, you can send a text in our group chat and just say, hey, can anybody go hit with me, throw with me, lift with me, and you'll get 5 or 6 guys that are taking you up right on that and will go whenever you can. I think that helps a huge amount.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like the bigger challenge is not really once the fall ball season ends. I feel like it's when we get to Christmas break and everybody splits up. That's when it gets most challenging for everybody. But I think if everybody just keeps a level head and if guys are close, they'll text each other and obviously get together. So that's also good.
Yeah, because obviously once you're not on campus, you have to do your own thing. Or again, if you're close to each other, then you can kind of get together. But each of you are actually pitchers on its own right, so it's a little bit similar there. But I also know Cade is an outfielder as well. We'll definitely talk about being kind of a two-way player there. But each of you guys are kind of headed into, or currently are part of either your second or third year. Just how excited are you guys for this season? Because coming off of last year, each of you made at least 12 appearances, making an MIAA tournament appearance. Just how excited are you guys to kind of be back, and just how are you guys preparing for spring, and just kind of what motivation do you guys have coming off of a year where you guys each contributed to the team?
Yeah, I think, obviously the goal is you want to go as far as you can this season. And last year, making it to the tournament, that was great for our team. But I think the goal is when you make it there, you want to win it. And I think right now, going through fall ball, going through our lifts, it's just that feeling of last year, we made it. We won our first game. We were in the position to, win 2 more and win the tournament. And then we ended up losing 2. And so it's just going from that, it's you always remember how it felt when we lost that game. And you don't know if you're going to get back there. And so it's always working to get back to that. And then when we do make it back, we got to capitalize on that opportunity this time.
Yeah, and I would say to go along with that, it's not just us. There's so many guys returning that are going to make a huge impact, and even bigger impact than they did last year. So I think that we have a level of maturity and experience on our team, which is going to help us out quite a bit.
Yeah, I feel like this fall we kind of had a higher intensity because we knew what it was like last year for the returning guys, what it was to get a taste of winning in the tournament. And I mean, those last 2 games were heartbreaking, so we just want to get back there and be able to capitalize.
And how key is it having not only that experience, but kind of having what happened last year motivate you guys a little bit more going into this year? And just how difficult is it playing in the MIAA? Because for a lot of people that don't know, the MIAA for a lot of these sports are extremely competitive, and baseball is just one of those. Like, you can talk about you guys, you can talk about Adrian, you can talk about Kalamazoo, you can talk about Hope. I know Hope obviously had a down year last year, but the MIAA is just so competitive, and when it comes to MIAA tournament play, only one team can win, and obviously it's a two-game elimination type tournament, but still high-level, high-stress baseball.
Oh yeah, like especially when you get to the tournament, everybody's seen each other 3 different times, and like as you said, it's always going to be really competitive. So I think being in the tournament for the past 3 years, no matter the amount of success that we've had, like you gain a lot of things from that. Obviously, we haven't won it yet. We haven't won it in 20 years, something like that, 20 something years. But I think having the experience of playing in it just kind of puts us like one step closer to like winning that next game, winning championship. So yeah, like I mean, it's always going to be really competitive, and it depends on if you're going to show up that day or not. And I think it helps out when you've been there before. You kind of know what it feels like.
Yeah, going off that, it's like you get there and, we didn't get the result we wanted, but there's so much we learned on the way. And those games, there's just a whole different level of intensity. It feels like, just completely different from all the 40 games you played right before that the whole season. And so just everything you learn in that, being able to, pass that on to the younger guys and use it ourselves for this year, I think could just help us improve in so many ways.
Yeah, our coach's main point this fall was instead of being good, he wants us to be great, try to get to that next level. So that's been the main emphasis this fall, and trying to get to that next step to be able to propel us to the next level, obviously.
Yeah, which is obviously the goal for you guys. It's the goal for everyone at the start of the season, is to obviously win the conference, get to the NCAA tournament, and see how far you guys can go from there. But I know that Cade and Tommy, you guys were both freshmen last year. Just how impactful and how important was it going through last year, not only having the experience of conference play, tournament play, all that kind of stuff? Did you guys kind of expect to go into Alma, see as much action as you did, and just how much did kind of going through that really help you guys improve and realize, like, hey, like, I can pitch at this level?
Mainly for me, I really I had a decent fall coming in. I thought I did well, and I didn't think I was going to have as big of a role as I did last year. And going into that, I mean, I was super pumped up when the coaches were telling me I was going to pitch a lot. And a big learning curve for me was when we were down south, and obviously, first outing, I got rocked, man. Like, gave up 2 home runs, but that was a big step forward for me, because then I was able to learn, like, these guys are no joke. Like, I mean, I'm not going to be able to get away with a mistake pitch here and there, So, I mean, that experience for me was good, and it was able to make myself have a better season and learn from it. And then it just helped us later on in the season in conference play. I pitched really well in the conference and just helped our team out,
Was that your welcome to college moment? Was that first pitching experience giving up 2 home runs?
Oh, 100%. It was my first inning. I gave up 2 home runs. Absolutely, it was a welcome to college moment. But I'm happy it happened because it made me better.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would say for me, I came in the fall, and I was actually playing football at the time, so I couldn't really go to many fall ball practices for baseball my freshman year. But when I did go, I didn't perform well to my level, and it was tough for me because I knew the player I was, and like I knew what I did in high school, and when I got here it felt completely different. But all the guys around me really picked me up and supported me, told me like, hey, this doesn't make anything, and I'm so thankful for my teammates. They helped me out so much through them. And then as I got to the winter, when it was just baseball, those guys were still there, the coaches were there for me, and it kind of just kept going up and up. Like, I kept improving every week. And then the season came along, and the coaches put the trust in me, my teammates were there to support me, and I kind of just continued to grow and just learned so much from the coaches and the teammates just as I played. And, I just kept improving. I feel like even now there's still so much that I can learn.
And when going to Alma, obviously you mentioned football, baseball. Was that kind of a difficult transition for you a little bit, kind of playing two different sports? Because obviously being a college athlete in one sport, just kind of that transition already is difficult because there's that step up in level. But like you were playing kind of two sports at one time, that probably wasn't easy. And obviously you end up making the decision to play baseball.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest part was the coaches from both the football team and the baseball team. They both supported me. They gave me so much support. They always made me feel welcome. Like, they weren't ever going to go out and say, like, hey, like, we only want you playing one sport. It was always support, and they understood, like, that I was doing both and how hard it was to do that. And so I think just without the coaches, I don't think I would have been able to do it. Like, while there was a busy schedule, the coaches allowed me to, like, hey, like, if you can't go to this, we completely get that because you're playing another sport.
Yeah. Is it a little bit nicer having one sport now? Maybe not as much chaos going on though.
Oh yeah, it's great. You know, I still support those guys on the football field. I'm at their games in the stands, but being with the baseball guys, I've built such a closer bond this year, and I feel like I've gotten so much better on the field being with them.
Absolutely, and you obviously love to see that. You love to see teams supporting other teams, guys coming to your games as well. I know we kind of talked a little bit about you guys kind of being freshmen last year, but I know that Ryan, you're a little bit more of kind of the experienced one, another extra year kind of add on to things. Being kind of the more experienced one out of the group and just like, again, the veteran, what's kind of like the biggest improvements you saw from kind of your freshman year to your sophomore year, and just what did you kind of see some of these freshmen that are on the call currently go through that maybe you experienced, and maybe try to help them through their kind of being a year older, maybe a year under your belt that maybe they didn't necessarily have last year?
Yeah, I mean, like personally, my freshman year, like I was at every game, traveled every game, but I like personally, I didn't really contribute like really at all. Like I had like 6 appearances, didn't really do much in those 6. But I think with that year, you learn from a lot of guys, and we had guys that were 4 or 5 years older than I was, and you kind of, because that's when we had COVID seniors still, and so like I learned a lot from those guys, and so then like going into my sophomore year, I kind of looked out for the freshmen. I looked out for their class, and I let them know, like, hey, if you guys need anything, I know I'm only a year older, maybe not even, but like I've learned a lot, and I can show you guys some things, or I can offer some advice, some wisdom. So yeah, I mean, most of it is just offering that kind of that guidance, because for me, walking onto a college campus at 18, not really understanding what was going on, like that was kind of frightening. So I try to be there as best I can for the younger guys, for sure.
Absolutely, and you love that. You love seeing the teammates being there for each other, all that kind of stuff you guys have already mentioned, like going to workouts, practicing together, all that kind of stuff, just the camaraderie that you guys have as a team, which is incredibly unique. And we've already heard one story of like a welcome to college moment. Do any of you other two have kind of a welcome to college moment? Kind of talk a little bit about that transition from high school baseball to college baseball.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, mine was in the fall of my freshman year. As I said, I didn't get many appearances in the spring, because I would, I just kind of like wasn't really ready for it. Like going into the fall, I thought, oh yeah, I'm so ready for this, and I kind of like talked myself up a little bit, even though over that summer I didn't really put in the work that I should have, and I came in just way below what I should have been doing, and that in and of itself was kind of a welcome to college moment. Like guys were looking at me like, what's going on? And I just, in that moment, you just have to take a step back and realize, like, hey, I'm not the greatest player, or I'm not the greatest person on earth. I'm not the greatest athlete, and so that welcome to college moment was, hey, you need to like get your stuff together and work really hard, and thankfully I've done that to be where I am now, or else I have no idea what I'd be doing, because I mean, it was a pretty intimidating type of thing to just be way below kind of the curve of college sports.
I would say for me, it wasn't necessarily like a moment in a game. It was more like just the all-around energy that the team brought to everything that we were doing when I came as a freshman. Because it's like you go from high school where half the team wants to be there, half the team's kind of like, hey, whatever, I'll just play it because like it's high school. And then I come to college and it's like the fall scrimmages, the lifts, the practices, like the games in the spring. There's just a whole different level of energy, and I'm like, it was a whole different world for me. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, you know, everybody cares about these games so much. Like, this is everybody's life, and just seeing that and seeing how intense it was really just like, this is what like college sports are about.
And I do kind of want to get into that a little bit more because obviously, like you guys probably in high school, I would assume were probably one of the better players on your high school team, which is the reason why you got the opportunity to play your sport in college. And when you get to that college level, obviously that's everyone's best player on their high school, wherever they're from. Does that motivate you a little bit more just because you have those like-minded people, those people that are those great athletes, or does it make it a little bit more difficult when you get there because you're going up against the best out of the best, and when you're maybe used to being the best kind of guy on your team, and as a freshman, maybe as a sophomore, you're not that anymore? Is that kind of like a reality check that you guys maybe had a little bit that I don't want to say it was a little bit of a rough feeling, but for some people that might be like, I haven't felt this way in a little while, and it might like make them step back, or it could also motivate them a little bit more as well?
I'd say it's a little bit of both, to be honest. You know, obviously, you know, you coming from high school, you know, you're one of the better dudes, and when you get to college, everybody's the best of the best, obviously. And when you get there, people are pushing people, you know what I mean? So you're trying to get better, you're trying to match up with somebody that's similar to you to try to push yourself to be better. And that's good because you're going to continue to grow as a player and you're going to get better. The difficult side of it is being able to not get upset with somebody if you get outworked or if they're just better. You have to be able to learn how to handle it. And I think it's beneficial for both sides of it.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely have to agree. I mean, it's just really eye opening when your whole life you're kind of used to being, you know, head and shoulders above everybody, or at least like most of the guys you play with and against, and then all of a sudden you get to college and it doesn't matter what division you're at, it doesn't matter what level it is, like everybody's there for a reason. But I think that only makes everybody better because like obviously you don't want to lose, you don't want to be outworked or outskilled, outclassed, whatever it is. So I mean, you're going to do everything you can to put yourself in a position to win.
Yeah, I think there's two sides of it. There's kind of the side where it's like you're competing against these guys and you know they're good and you know you got to push yourself because everybody's fighting for a job. You know, everybody wants to be on that field. They want to be that guy, and so you know in your mind like, hey, if I can't let them beat me, I got to do this. But on the other side of it, it comes in where it's like you're going to play against these guys, and you know it's baseball. Things are going to happen. As a pitcher, you know you're gonna let up a home run. You're going to let up back-to-back hits. All this stuff. As a hitter, you're going to get struck out. I think there's a big mental side of it where you got to remember that you're still a good player, and you got to have the confidence to not let one bad thing or a couple bad things affect you for your future outings or whatever.
And how mentally difficult is it being a pitcher? Because, like you mentioned, you're going to give up hits, you're going to give up home runs, you're going to give up runs. Like, that's just kind of a given when you do that and maybe are struggling a little bit more. Maybe your stuff isn't as effective, or maybe your fastball isn't as, quote-unquote, as elite, or you can't overpower hitters very much anymore that you're used to. How do you kind of balance that mental toll that it can take on you, but also how do you kind of realize, like, hey, like, I need to switch things here and there? Because I'm sure that each of you have kind of evolved as pitchers. Maybe you still probably do some of the same stuff you did kind of prior that you really help succeed, but there's probably other things that you're like, I just can't do that anymore just because of kind of the guys I'm facing now.
Yeah, I think there's like keeping yourself mentally in the situation and not getting yourself too worked up, no matter if you're doing good or if you're performing poorly, is a huge thing. Like, we got a new pitching coach this year, And one of the big things he's been working on with us is just keeping yourself where you're at no matter what. Like whether it's after a home run or a strikeout with the bases loaded. Like you got to find something that's always going to be on every field and have that there so that when you have one of those high intense moments, you can find that and you can lock back in and go get the next guy. Because whether you go out there with no confidence, you're not going to pitch well to the next guy, or if you go out there with too much confidence and think you're on top of the world,
Yeah.
it's just not going to work out.
And how dramatic is it having a new pitching coach for people that have never been a pitcher or just been a college athlete? Like, is it a different approach? Does he try to figure out kind of you guys' strengths, weaknesses? Do you kind of have that conversation? Obviously, there's probably stuff that you can't go too dramatically in detail on because you don't want to give away too much. But, like, just how much is it a change? Like, do they change quite a bit, or is it more of just, like, a different approach to the way it happens, but you don't truly change the way that you pitch?
It's it's pretty funny. Our new pitching coach was roommates with our old pitching coach in college at MSU. So
Was he really?
yeah. So they have kind of the same philosophies and different stuff like that. Obviously, like there's different intensities to everything, and practices are scheduled a little bit differently. It as far as especially like us in particular, getting a new face for a pitching coach, like it was a really smooth transition. I think it's going to work out for the best of everybody involved. Because it's nice to have kind of a younger guy, especially like he graduated or he played his sixth year at MSU, I think 3 years ago. So like he's kind of fresh out of school, so like he gives us that insight of just playing college baseball at a really high level, and he brings the intensity every day, and I think that's kind of one of the things that's going to propel us to a good season, because he's every day he's pushing us, like he's in the weight room with us, and he's pushing us really hard in there, because he wanted to be a part of the strength and conditioning staff just so that he could be in lift with us and just kind of push us around a little bit. But I think that those types of things are going to set us apart this year for sure.
And it has to be nice and obviously make it a little bit easier to kind of understand him, like being kind of a younger guy, but also being a guy that has experience of playing at the college level, of playing at like MSU. Like that's high level baseball, right? And like obviously that's everyone's goal is to be D1. Everyone's goal is to play college athletics. That has to obviously make things a little bit easier and maybe make things a little bit easier to understand things, because obviously he probably understands you guys maybe a little bit more, even though he's a few years outside of college, but he also has the understanding of what it's like to be you guys as well.
Yeah, I would say that's spot on. Like him just getting out of a high level program at MSU, he brings so much stuff from the table, just from a different program. Like a different side of things that we've never seen before, and him being there for us. Like most of the stuff we do, like he's there doing it with us. Like if we're doing something after practice, like he'll be there with us. Like if he's gonna make us do something, he's gonna do it with us. So I think that really helps us as a pitching staff. It's like, hey, like, he wants us doing it, but he's also going to do it. He's not just going to do it to punish us or make us do something crazy.
Yeah, like he's bought in as well. Like he wants to be a part of the group. He wants you guys to obviously be helped, but he wants to be the ones that are involved and then wants to learn you guys a little bit more, which obviously is done through the fall, obviously going to lead to the spring as well. It's just part of being a coach, part of probably what you guys have really enjoyed about having him. It sounds like you guys are extremely excited to have him as your coach, but I also know that Cade probably doesn't spend all his time with him, maybe allow his time, but I also know you play outfield as well. Being kind of a two-way player, how has it been kind of balancing that, like being a pitcher being an outfielder, kind of balancing what it's like to deal with the pitching side of things, but also the hitting side of things, playing in the field as well?
I'd say this year I've done a better job at balancing it. So usually at practice, I'll spend majority of the time with the position players. Obviously, I'll be getting all my outfield work in. I'll be hitting with them, and then I'll go over, and when I see like during group drills, I'll go with the pitchers. Obviously, do some fielding with them, but it's usually me having to throw a bullpen before or after practice, and then making sure my arm stays healthy so I'm able to obviously pitch in games, but also being able to keep my arm healthy for playing the outfield as well. So I feel like I've done a pretty good job at balancing both of them, and it's honestly been a blast so far. I mean, it's been my goal for the past year. Last year, obviously, I was only able to pitch, but then over the summer, I made it my goal to be able to play both for us. So hopefully I can impact us on both sides of the ball this year.
Yeah, you get to do both things that you love. Pitching, you also get to hit as well. For I know some pitchers would absolutely love the opportunity to hit, while other pitchers are like, yeah, I know my strength, and I'm going to kind of keep to my strengths, and that's definitely not hitting. How about you? How about the two of you guys? Can you guys hit a little bit? Do you guys get opportunities to hit at Alma? If like I know some schools do, like if a pitching staff like does like a shutout in a game, like the pitchers get to do BP. Is that something that you guys get to do? And can either one of you hit like Cade, or do you kind of leave that a little bit to Cade's end of things?
Yeah, no. So yeah, we do that where shutouts and sweeps kind of earn us that BP time. We didn't get to it last year. We had it scheduled. Like on a certain day of practice, like at the end of the year, and then it started raining, so we couldn't do it then. But no, we both got an opportunity to hit this summer, and I got put into a game. We were up by almost 20, I think, when I got put in, and they had this position player on the mound, and he was throwing knuckleballs and a bunch of crazy stuff, and I struck out because it was so weird. But he was still he was throwing probably 84, 85,
Okay.
and I'm not used to that. I haven't seen live pitching in a long time, so yeah. I got one opportunity and kind of messed it up.
Yeah, I got my one at bat. I think it was in the same game. We were winning by like 20 when I went in. I think it was like the 8th or 9th inning, and I ended up drawing a 6-pitch walk, actually, but I swung at one that was at my eyes. That was the only ball I swung at, and then I watched the rest of them just go right by me. I got lucky that they weren't strikes. So hitting's definitely not my thing.
Yeah, I mean there's a reason I'm a pitcher for sure.
Hey, you know what? There's some pitchers that say that they can hit. I don't know. I've never seen it, but there's some pitchers that say they can hit dingers. So thought I would obviously ask you guys that question on if you're guys one of those or if you're a PO for a reason.
No, I mean I definitely thought that before I went up to bat, and then after walking back to the dugout, I realized that I couldn't.
Hey, at least
Yeah.
you got the opportunity to do it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you can at least experience it, and then hopefully you'll get to be able to do it in practice. I feel like it's going to be a lot more fun in practice, so we can actually see you can hit dingers or not, but it's probably a little bit different in practice compared to games.
Yeah, oh for sure.
So, Cade, I want to ask you one kind of more question before we kind of get into what it's like to face you and stuff like that, because obviously the other two have had opportunities in practice to pitch against you, kind of understand how you pitch, but being kind of a pitcher, how much has that helped you kind of understand being a hitter on the other side of things? Because I feel like being a pitcher, kind of realizing and understanding both sides of being a pitcher, being a hitter, I feel like there's a little bit maybe more of an understanding of like what to look for, or does it truly not affect you as much as some people would think?
So it does help out, in my opinion, because for me as a pitcher, I'm always trying to make hitters uncomfortable, obviously, and get them to either get easy contact, or usually my goal is just to jam it on the hands and you hit it. But for me as a hitter, my approach is like, obviously in the fall you start to learn guys' tendencies on our own team, but if let's say I'm facing a different team, I'm trying to attack, and I mean it has for sure helped me out in understanding pitcher tendencies and understanding what they're going to do and looking for certain pitches and certain counts, obviously. So And then on the pitching side of it, it's also nice because I can learn what hitters are looking for in certain counts and what I should and shouldn't throw, obviously. So I would definitely say it has helped me out tremendously, and it's shown this past half year.
Yeah, and speaking of tendencies, this is where I want to kind of get into a more conversation with all of you, because one thing about college athletics, just athletics as a whole, it's kind of becoming a little bit more of like an analytics type game. I think you've seen kind of the evolution of baseball in the last couple of years truly become, especially in the MLB, like about analytics, about like knowing the tendencies of the hitters, of the pitchers. Is that something that you guys talk a lot about, or is that more something like you kind of try to figure out in the game, try to figure out a little bit of tendencies here and there? Or do you guys like truly like kind of like study that and know kind of going into the game, like the tendencies of, obviously for the two pitchers completely, you're going to only want to know the tendencies of the hitters because you're not going to go up against a hitter. And then for Cade, you're going to probably have to know a little bit of both going into it.
Yeah, we always go over as a team, like before a series or before a road trip or whatever. We'll go over the guys that we think we're going to see, like arms wise and bats. So we'll go over. We'll have like one part of a meeting is going to be who are the guys that they're going to throw, who are the guys that they've historically thrown, and kind of what do they like to do, tendencies, different stuff like that. And then we'll look at their lineup, and then some pinch hitters that we think we might see. Because I mean, if we're playing like a 3 or 4 game series, we're probably not going to see the same 9 bats every single game.
Yeah.
So we get into that a lot, and then we'll also meet about individual kind of analytics stuff like that. So we'll go over each game. We'll have like a PowerPoint, and we'll go over how many runs we gave up, free passes, what our strike percentages looked like almost anything you can think of, and then we'll go over each pitcher that threw and kind of what they looked like, and then we'll look at like season numbers. So yeah, I mean, we always have a bunch of statistics and like guys like myself, I love looking at stuff like that. I don't live by it, but
Yeah.
it is really nice to see stuff like that. And then other guys just kind of, they could care less. And honestly, it's the best of both worlds. Like you don't have to pay much mind to it. But when you look at stuff like the tendencies, I think that's when it gets really, really beneficial.
Yeah, I would agree with that last part there, especially. It's like we want to look at the numbers as a program, but we don't want to be too focused on them. Like I know, especially from the pitcher side, you can see that a guy, doesn't like curveballs, doesn't like sliders, he doesn't like hitting spin.
Yeah.
But if you throw him a slider first pitch and he's on top of it, like we're gonna go away from that and go to a fastball next pitch or something else. And we're just not gonna constantly follow the numbers and let that determine who we are. We're gonna use it to help us.
Exactly. It's kind of like a chess match in the middle of the game, right? Like the numbers, the tendencies, but there's a real possibility that they go away from that. Now, there's a real possibility that they continue to do that way. Like obviously, as the season goes on, the numbers, the tendencies probably become a little bit more clear. But it's about the way you not only approach it, but it's about the way you change your approach. Because I'm sure that each of you guys have had games that you've pitched in where maybe prior to the game you're in a bullpen, you're either feeling great or you're feeling awful, like it's going to be a great or really bad game, and then you go in there and you're either dominant or like you could look great in the bullpen, and then you go out there, you're getting absolutely lit up. That's just kind of the part of being a pitcher, and I feel like that's kind of the part that makes it a little fun, make it a little bit interesting, but it's also kind of the part that truly tests your guys' not only mental like capacity, but truly tests your guys' like ability to kind of be a goldfish mentality of kind of like forgetting about that pitch, forgetting about that bat, just trying to attack the next guy.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean there's certain times where you're gonna feel really good, and honestly, how I like to look at it is, like if my changeup looks absolutely terrible in my bullpen before I go out, I know it's just going to be electric as soon as I step on the mound. Like I know that it's just going to be the opposite. So I mean, there's certain things. Yeah, I mean it's different for everybody, but for me, like bullpen doesn't really translate to on the game mound just because there's so many differences. Like
Yeah.
it's you try to always think of it as a game of catch and it's just you and the catcher, but I mean that's really not what it is. Like I feel like that's too much of a of kind of dumbing it down. Like there is a guy there, and then back to the last point, we're gonna think about his tendencies and kind of game plan for each different guy, and then we got as a pitcher you got 7 dudes behind you. So I mean it will be different when you get out on the game mound, but I mean I think that's why we look at the numbers and stuff like that is so we can put ourselves in the best position.
Yeah, I feel like you just have to have a short-term memory, like you said. I mean, you go out if you have a bad bullpen, you just gotta go out there, just flush everything, and that's a big thing for us. Is like our assistant coach, his name is Sarge. He tells us to flush it right away. If something bad happens, give yourself 10 seconds, and you just gotta flush it onto the next pitch. So if one pitch isn't on that day, then you just gotta adjust and try to throw your other 3. You gotta find what's working that day, and if you're not striking everybody out, then your goal is gotta try to get to weak contact. But if you're getting lit up, then maybe you just gotta try to strike. You know what I mean? It's just it's like you said, it's like a chess match.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say it's big because you can go out there, you can have your best stuff on the mound, but you can also have your worst stuff. And at the end of the day, the goal is still to win the game. And I think a big thing that helps is having those teammates that have your back, coaches that have your back, guys in the dugout cheering you on, guys in the field, supporting you in every way they can. That really helps when you're out there and hey, I can't throw my best pitch at all today. I got to adjust, and you just know no matter what, those guys got your back.
Yeah, and sometimes you just I don't want to say get lucky, but sometimes they're making really hard contact, but straight to you guys, and you might have a stat line at the end of the day that's 4 or 5, 6 innings, 1 earned run, couple of strikeouts, 0 walks, and at the end of the day, you're like, I just didn't have the stuff that I typically do. But you have the line that shows like, hey, he performed really good that day. It's just kind of a part of just letting your guys make the plays, and hopefully they back you up, you'll back them up, and that's just part of baseball.
Yeah, that's exactly why analytics don't tell the whole story, especially in baseball.
Yeah, no, they never tell the whole story. Like you can see truly how someone performs by just not only watching them, but there's certain things here and there that you could really truly tell how they're performing that day. And as pitchers, you have good days, you have bad days, all that kind of stuff. But I know that you guys are obviously extremely excited for this year. I know that you guys have some big goals going forward to this year, and we've talked a lot about some of the ways you guys have prepared for it, some of the ways that you guys have been putting in time. Because of all of that, and obviously having up and down performances throughout the year, what are some of your guys' goals for this year, and just what are the next steps you guys want to take as a team? I know you've already mentioned winning the MIAA tournament. That's obviously a goal. You guys haven't done it for 20 plus years. I'm sure that would be probably the coolest moment in the world for you guys to do it. Is that truly the goal? Is that the only goal for you guys, or is there a couple other things here and there that, let's say you don't necessarily reach that prime goal, that you can still say, hey, we made steps going forward?
I would say we do have a bunch of we have our coach sent out a list for us to fill out. We have a bunch of minor goals and then individual goals and major goals, and I would definitely say the one we've been really focusing on though is that championship. Obviously, it's what we've been striving for, and that's just what the main focus has been. And it's us achieving those minor goals and those individual goals to be able to get to that major goal of the championship. And all those steps we've taken, it's just doing the little things, keeping each other accountable. And, just a big thing for us is weight room. We're in the weight room all the time, trying to get bigger, faster, stronger. And that's been a big point of emphasis for us. So obviously doing all those little things is going to help propel us to get to that championship. So I'd say personally that is the biggest goal for us.
Yeah, because if you don't do the little goals, right, you can't reach the big goal. You can't just skip to the big goal and just say, hey, we won. You could possibly, but you still need to get into the MIAA tournament. You still need to get there. And if you do win it, what's nice is you get a nice little big ring on your finger, which I'm sure that you guys would love a little bit.
Yeah, it's a really going off what Cade said. It's really just to get that big goal of the MIA championship. You know, we have these other goals, and then goals inside those, and then goals inside those. And so it's like
Yeah.
we're not necessarily like well, we're talking about like winning the MIA championship here, but like when we're doing our daily work, when we're with our team, it's not just hey, let's win a championship. It's hey, let's do this, and then that's going to lead us in the right step to doing everything. And so we don't want to focus on one really big thing. We want to focus on those little things that are going to get us there.
Yeah, it's about getting better every single day. It's about improving, about working to that goal to eventually, hopefully, accomplish that goal in the next few years. Because I know each of you have at least a few years left to go at Alma. I know each of you guys have mentioned that you have a ton of guys returning, a ton of guys that are extremely motivated, which I'm sure that motivates you guys each individually that much more to get to that level that you want to get to.
Yeah, for sure. I think like everyone's bought into the same thing, and so every day we're taking it one step at a time to get there.
Absolutely. I truly do hope you guys get there. I hope you guys obviously have a great year. I really appreciate you guys joining, but before I kind of wrap up here, I do want to ask one last question because obviously you guys have been playing baseball for a while. For most people, it's been kind of the start of when they're like young, t-ball, stuff like that. You're obviously a couple of years into college. It's obviously something that means a lot to you guys. So really I want to kind of end on this. Like, what have each of you guys learned about yourselves through being a pitcher in baseball, and how has it helped shape you, not only as kind of the person, but also shaped you for well beyond baseball? Because as a pitcher, as an athlete, you learn so much just being an athlete in itself, but you also learn like how to overcome adversity. You also learn teamwork. Like there's so much that goes into athletics and so much that goes into pitching that it truly seems like everyone at least learns something about themselves in their sport.
Oh yeah, like personally, I can definitely say, you know, I've learned that there's going to be a lot of things thrown at you, good and bad, and I mean you just have to work past everything. Like you can't get too high, you can't get too low. I mean, you gotta. That's something that we always talk about when we're talking with us pitchers. Is like we just have to ride the even wave, I guess. And but yeah, I mean, there's so many things that happen, especially when you play in college. There's, it's not like I'm just going here to play sports. I mean, I'm getting an education and I've got other stuff going on the side, and there's a lot of things to balance. So I think I've learned that I'm learning how to balance things, but I'm learning how to work well, like in a team, especially because once baseball's over, I'm gonna have to get a job and be like everybody else. So I'm gonna have to work in a team, and I think that's something that I've definitely gotten better at since being here for sure.
Yeah, I would say just pitching's helped me so much because you can be having the perfect outing, you can be in the seventh inning, no hits, no runs, like a perfect ideal pitching performance, and then like in the snap of the fingers, like there's 3 runs on the board, everything's completely flipped. It's like I feel like that can happen in life, but like on the baseball field, it's like you can get through that, and you're gonna have a next outing. I feel like that's helped me in life so much, just being like, hey, this didn't go my way, like I didn't get a good grade on the test, but it's not the end of everything. I can keep going, like I still got it. I can still succeed even if I had one bad moment.
Exactly.
Yeah, to back up on what Tommy said, I feel like for me, I've treated baseball with my life obviously as like baseball is obviously one of, if not the biggest failure game there is. So when you fail in baseball and you fail in life, you have to be able to bounce back and be able to adjust to what happened and how are you going to respond, basically. So, I mean, it's just a game of failure. That's what life is failure. Just learn from your mistakes. So baseball has really helped that out with me personally, so I'm very grateful for the game of baseball.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing about baseball is it's like the one sport that you can truly say that you have Hall of Famers that fail more than they succeed. Like there's very few other sports that you have to be so mentally and physically tough that like you have to understand that this is just part of the sport. But to be one of the best, you're still going to fail more times than you succeed. And it's just one thing I feel like a lot of people love about baseball. It's just not only that, but like the entertaining factor of it. It's obviously America's pastime for a reason. I've always loved playing. I've always loved watching baseball. Unfortunately, the Tigers end up falling in the ALDS in like the 15th inning, sadly. So a little bit heartbreaker right there. But I truly hope that you guys obviously have a little bit of a better result at the end of the year than the Tigers did. Hopefully, it's going to lead to an MIAA tournament championship and NCAA tournament appearance as well for you guys. I truly hope you do reach those goals. I really appreciate each of one of you guys for joining today. It's been a ton of fun. One thing I always say to anyone that ever joins is if you ever want to come back on, would absolutely love to have you guys on, maybe after this year, maybe after a couple of years. Completely up to you guys. No pressure whatsoever to do so. But like I said, really appreciate you guys. Hope you guys had fun, and I do hope you guys achieve the goals that you guys have set for this year. Not only the small ones, but obviously the big goal of an MIAA championship.
Thank you. We appreciate you as well.
Yep. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
Absolutely, and that is a wrap to episode number 507. Thank you again to Cade, Ryan, and Tommy for joining, and tune in to the next episode.